Here are the first steps to making a coil pot. First, you're going to make a pinch pot. If you don't remember how to make a pinch pot, I suggest that you go back to my other videos on step-by-step pinch pots, or even the beginning stages of the sculpture, the pinch pot sculpture, so that you can get some good information on making a pinch pot. When you're making a coil pot, you want to have a good rim so that you can add coils on top of it. On this particular pinch pot, I am flattening out the base, so I wanted a nice round bottom, but I want the rim to be nice and flat, so I put it upside down and kind of push it so that the rim is flat. You can see a nice flat surface to add coils to. On this pinch pot, I'm going to change the shape so it's more of an oval. You don't have to have a round coil pot. You can make it more oval or some kind of rounded edge shape. It could be more square, but you don't want to have sharp corners because you want the coils to wrap all the way around when you start building it up. To hand roll your coils, you're going to start with a little ball of clay. You don't need very much to start off with, and you're going to start rounding it off. So use from your fingertips to the heel of your hand to really start rolling out the clay. As you're working, you're going to start rolling it, and it'll start to kind of flatten out at some points. So when it does, you want to lay it on its side and kind of tap it into more of a square and then twist it. So when you twist it, it's really going to allow you to continue to roll it into a round shape. You don't want it to be floppy and flat. You want it to be nice and round so you can keep going. It's going to take a while to get your first coils rolled out. You want the coils to be slightly thicker than the rim of your pot. So that's why you want the rim of your pot to be a little on the thick side so you have a surface to score and slip it to, but not too thin where it's gonna want to collapse every time you add a coil to it. So I keep rolling it out. It's going to take a while, so just be patient and roll it as evenly as you possibly can. Wherever it gets a little thicker or a little flat, you're going to pat it out, twist it, and turn it, and keep rolling it so it's a nice even thickness all the way through. Once you're ready to attach it to your coil pot, you're going to wrap it around on top, and then you're going to actually measure it so that it's going to fit evenly. And then once you have a good placement for it, you're going to cut it to size. Don't cut it too soon so that you accidentally cut it the wrong size. When you're cutting it to size, you're going to hold it up and cut it at an angle. So take your knife and cut it at a diagonal angle until it reaches the pinch pot, like so. Then you just remove the extra pieces, and then the two ends will fit perfectly together because you cut it at an angle. Then you can score and slip that little piece together, and then score and slip the coil onto the top of the pinch pot. Once you have that, you're going to smooth it out on the outside, and you can either blend the line so you don't see the line at all, or you can just kind of touch up the line so you don't see the score and slip marks. On the inside, however, this is a very important step. You're going to blend the inside completely so that you do not see any lines at all. So I'm using my thumb to push the clay down. That's why you want the coil to be slightly larger than your pinch pot, so that you can push the clay into the pinch pot and make it sure that it's nice and secure. So then once I am done with that first coil, I'm just touching it up and reshaping the form. So now it is time to create your stamps and markings in the clay. So whatever tool you decided to use, you're going to take and press into the clay. This is like a walnut or something that I found outside that makes kind of a heart shape. So when I press it into the clay, at first it wasn't really making a good impression. So I had to pick it up so that I could press the clay from the inside so that I could push the clay into the stamp. That's not going to happen for everybody, but that's what I had to do for this one. And so as I was stamping it, I was trying to create a pattern so that it was 3 in one row and 2 in the next row, and I was trying to space it out as evenly as I could. And as I'm stamping it into the clay, I noticed that I'm going to have a little bit of touch-ups to do, but you can really decide what kind of pattern you want to create and what kind of texture you want to create. Those little heart shapes are going to make really interesting designs in the when I glaze it. It'll hold the glaze really interesting. So now that I have the stamping on the base, I'm going to continue rolling out coils so I can keep adding them to the top. I'm going to keep building vertically, and then pretty soon I'm going to start narrowing the rim. So when I start narrowing it up, I'm going to place the coils a little closer to the inside edge so that as the outside edge looks like it's curving, there will be more details to follow in the next video on how to build vertically, but just know that when you stamp into the clay, you want to make sure the clay is pretty wet. So focus now on the pinch pot base and making the stamping impression, and we'll work on coils next week.